Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 17th. We'll call the meeting to order and ask if you'll stand and observe O Canada with us. Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Item 2.3 is the adoption of the open session agenda. Councillor Dunn, I believe you have that as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by... Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Elmsley, that the agenda for the open session of the regular meeting of Tuesday, November the 17th, 2020 be adopted as circulated with the following amendments. Additions regarding the proposed sale of city-owned land on Juniper Street, Fenelon Falls, item 18.1 on the agenda. Item 6.1, deputation from David Stuyvesant. Item 6.2, deputation from Joanne Kerr. Item 6.3, deputation of Lois Hatch. Item 6.4, deputation of Amanda Allen. Item 6.5, deputation by Sharon Larman. Item 7.2, correspondence from Doug Dickerson. Item 7.3, correspondence from Rick Cartier. And item 7, it says 7.2, I'm going to assume that's 7.4, correspondence from Doug Dickerson regarding the proposed, and then it stops. Okay.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to notices and information by members of council and staff. Council, any notices? Councillor Elmsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to recognize Doug Cox from Fenelon Falls. He's a member of the Lions Club, and he received his award for 50 years of service in the Lions Club, and he received that award from the international president of Lions. So I'd like to recognize Doug for his great public service, his great contribution to the community through Lions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few announcements. First, I'd like to thank the Omimi Legion and Elizabeth Peters for her ceremony at the Omimi War Memorial Cenotaph on the 11th. It was a very touching tribute to our fallen soldiers from World War I, World War II, and Korea. And I'd just like to thank the Legion for putting that together. I'd also like to congratulate the Wing House Omimi for opening up their new restaurant in Omimi, and appreciate them coming to City Kawartha Lakes and Omimi to set up their new business. And finally, the Dunsford Food Bank will be having a drive-through food drive on Sunday, December 6th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Dunsford United Church, and asking for canned foods and non-perishable items. So that's Sunday, December 6th, 2 to 4 at the Dunsford United Church. Thank you.
Thank you. Now that you've got the wing place in Omimi, we'll be expecting you to bring us all wings for lunch one day. Councillor Seymour Fagan?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to thank Mark Cameron for hosting a service in Bob Cajun at the Legion. It was a beautiful service, very different than normal, and for the people in Burnt River hosting a service there as well. Now, this weekend in Bob Cajun, there's something called the Mingle and Jingle. It'll be a little different than last year, but you can visit all the shops and the restaurants. There'll be specials all day long on Saturday. So come on out and support our local retailers and restaurants.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. On December 6th, Coboconk Chamber of Commerce will be putting on a Santa Claus parade. This year with the twist, instead of the parade going by the people are going to be asked to go by the parade. And so businesses will be setting up displays, and people will be asked to drive by in their cars and view all the displays from the various businesses and individuals at Legion Park, and pick up their treat bag at the end. So it's a parade in reverse this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor O'Reilly?
Thank you. I too would like to thank the people that put on the Remembrance Day celebrations in Lindsay. I wasn't there. I believe Councillor Richardson was there. She's probably better to speak at than I was. But anyway, so I understand that it was very well attended, and people were spaced very well appropriately. Lindsay Light Up, Lindsay Christmas Outdoor Decorating Contest will be happening this Christmas season in Lindsay. This is presented by the Lindsay and District Ministerial, and there will be $3,000 worth in prizes for homes and businesses decorated for Christmas in 3 different categories. All interested in participating must register by December 15th at lightuplindsay.ca. And I had spoken with the mayor just briefly yesterday, so I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge and say thanks for the folks at the Ops Community Center for the work that they've done over since it has been 45 years since this place was opened, and so the result of the council meeting decided it's not going to reopen. And this arena was built more than 45 years ago, and this arena was more than an arena. It was a community center and a community hub. Ops does not have hamlets like many of the other municipalities, like Little Britain or Oakwood or Janetville or Pontypool or whatever, or Dunsford or Omimi. So we never really had an identity until we built this community center. And it really is the core of our meeting place for our municipality. It serves as the voting station for years for our municipality, also for federal and provincial elections. It was a local curling club. It was a figure skating center. It was used by many for many meetings at the center for many for our city since the amalgamation, and the international plowing match that's coming up this fall was hoping to use it for some meetings as well. Many of the local men's and women's hockey teams call this home, and it was the home of the Ops Minor Hockey, who won many local and provincial championships, and the Ops community produced some great hockey talent. Just to mention 3, Dave and Don Maloney, who used to live where Orville McLean's sale barn was, both went on to have long careers in the NHL with the New York Rangers, and Don is still working today. He was the general manager of the New York Rangers and the Islanders, and also the head of hockey operations for Calgary right now. And then there's, of course, Jeff Bukaboom, who won 4 Stanley Cups. I would like to acknowledge Jack Callahan, who had the vision to build this community facility, along with Murray Walden and all the ops families, too numerous to mention, who built and contributed to this facility over the years. I'd also like to thank the Women's Institute for all the meals that they cooked for all the events that went on there, because it was actually the Women's Institute or the Women's Auxiliary that actually paid for many of the arenas. They did a lot of the work. I'd also like to thank the Ops Community former council for all the support they had over the years. And finally, I look forward to Councillor Vail bringing a motion forward in the new year to look at the future of our libraries, service centers, and all our arenas, except, of course, for Fenelon Falls and Lindsay. And I hope and I trust this will be a better process going forward.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson?
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to give a shout out to the Janetville Food Bank. They are short right now of certain items: peanut butter, crackers, canned pasta, soups, and more. Drop-off is at 712 Janetville Road in the back porch beside the Janetville United Church. And at this time, we should all remember that the food banks are going to be in much need of donations. It is the season to give, so thank you. Also, as Councillor Riley mentioned, last week the Lindsay Legion put on a very nice socially distanced Remembrance Day. It was very well attended, and I'd like to thank them at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of council? Okay, I know the CAO has several announcements. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. So the first announcement I wanted to just touch on was in your council folders, we've provided a corporate brand book for your reference and for information. It's a focus on modernized, accessible, and appealing sort of look and feel and brand to the community today and into the future. It introduces a jump-in theme, which invites a variety of audiences to become a part of Kawartha Lakes, whether that's actually in community, jumping in to our amenities and beautiful clean lakes, or simply to jump in to how we are managing and doing things locally. We'll be slowly transitioning into digital, print, and other mediums as our in-year budgets allow. This product or brand has been produced entirely in-house by our communications team and with an extended team from many other departments that help to inform it. The community rollout will take place as well gradually as projects and opportunities arise. We did this sort of collaboratively, and so not only were there departments involved, but you yourselves, council, were represented through this. I certainly want to thank councillors Seymour, Fagan, Richardson, and Vail for sitting on focus groups and helping to sort of inform how we might strategize and roll out this brand. And so the book is in your folders, and I would encourage you to take a look at that and watch out for our brand rolling out slowly. In fact, you'll see on our screens today, the new logo is up on the corners. So thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. That's announcement number one. Number two, on November 5th of this year, as a result of provincial investment in home and community care, Ontario Health East announced that it received about $2.8 million in one-time funding to support community paramedic program expansion in 2020 and 2021. The funds have been designated for distribution to each of the 15 paramedic services in Eastern Ontario, ensuring that those paramedic services have enough funding to support community paramedic programming in the immediate term. For CKL, this funding allocation is approximately $137,000. And this is extremely timely because I was actually not looking forward to a gloomier announcement that we would have to start ramping down our current community program based on lack of funding. And certainly this local council contributed to keeping this program going for the last 6 to 8 months specifically. So again, thrilled. This is a very timely announcement from the province. So this allocation is one-time funding. It currently ends March 31st of 2021. Now, having said that, Ontario Health East is still working very proactively to look at prioritizing and making permanent community paramedic funding throughout the province. And so thrilled to be able to share that with you today. Mr. Mayor, if it's appropriate, and if we could, I'd like to share with Council a very brief video update on our local community paramedic program.
Since being involved in the program, I definitely think it's making a huge difference. And I think having somebody like come in and again, checking their vitals and making sure nothing's brewing or, you know, something may be wrong, and having the advice of somebody to say, you know what, I don't think you're having a good day today. So maybe, you know, we should go to the hospital today, or saying to them, you know what, you're having a great day today. I think it just puts their mind at ease, and it does keep them at home longer.
Security of knowing there's somebody out there that is looking after me.
Yeah.
And she gave me my confidence back that I could come and live here by myself.
Yeah.
It has made a huge difference
Yeah.
in how I feel about being home alone.
Being at home.
Thank you. You're the best.
It was a great experience. I was actually afraid when I found out that my mom was coming home because I didn't know what to expect. It gave me good peace of mind to know that somebody like Julie was going to come into our house and do the things that she did.
When we had difficult discharges with complex patients, it gave the physicians and the staff that extra level of comfort during the tricky discharge home to know that they were being cared for.
My experience with the pilot program was very positive. I found Julie and her team to be incredibly receptive to referrals and was able to build relationships, and in a lot of instances prevented multiple repeat emerge visits because they were getting the care they needed and the support at home.
Hi there, it's Julie Milne, community paramedic in Kawartha Lakes. I just wanted to quickly reach out and say thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting our program. For standing behind our program and believing in it when we needed you the most. So again, I just wanted to say thank you so much.
So, Mr. Mayor, in conclusion, I would really like to thank Ontario Health East for recognizing the importance of local community paramedic programming. Also need to commend our local service. And I would say this council, we've taken a leadership role sort of provincially by funding this pilot. It's getting legs right across the province. I think we're going to see it a permanent structure throughout paramedic services in the province. And our next step now, we're going to work with Ross Memorial Hospital directly. They're our LHIN-funded health service provider. So they're the ones that we need to coordinate through to secure the funding through an agreement, and we look forward to working with them and extending on the project. I'll continue on if I could, Mr. Mayor. So I'd also like to remind everybody at the Committee of the Whole meeting back in February of this year, I had announced to you at that time the appointment of Andrew Rafton to the position of Paramedics Chief. And Andrew was the acting chief for several months leading up to that announcement. Chief Rafton has served in the Kawartha Lakes Paramedic Service over the last 18 years and 35 years in paramedicine generally. Who would have predicted that soon after that appointment that a global pandemic would change everything for everybody and not just in that service? Chief Rafton is retiring. His last day with us is November 27th. Andrew, on behalf of the city, I would like to thank you for your service to us, to the city, and for your leadership, particularly over this past year. Thank you. Certainly our preference would be to do this in person, but this is how we have to do some of our business these days. Last announcement, Mr. Mayor. Effective November 1st, Chief Randy Mello joined the Kawartha Lakes Paramedic Service. So Chief Mello is currently the Chief of Peterborough Paramedic Service and is now sharing his services as Chief of Kawartha Lakes Paramedic Service. This unique arrangement will allow the two services to share certain resources and learn from each other to best serve our collective communities. Chief Mello started his career in paramedicine in 1986. In 2007, he left the Essex region for the position of Deputy Chief with the Paramedic Service. He subsequently became Chief of Essex Windsor EMS and then settled back here in Peterborough as Chief in 2014. I look forward to working with Chief Mello to continue the exemplary level of service that our Kawartha Lakes paramedics provide, and I just want to welcome him through you to our team. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it, and thank you, Chief Rafton, and welcome Chief Mello. We'll do the transition. Thanks, guys. Council minutes, item 5. So regular council, I need a motion to receive and adopt the regular council meeting minutes of October 20th, 2020, please. Councillor Elmsley, seconded by Councillor Yeo. All in favor? That is passed. We'll move right into deputations. Our first deputation is Dave Sturdivant. I hope I got that right, Dave. If you're with us and you want to join in, turn on your video. It's regarding the proposed sale of city-owned lands on Juniper Street, Fenland Falls, item 18.1 on the agenda. Welcome, sir. Just a friendly reminder, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor Latham and Council. My name is Dave Sturdivant, and my wife and I have had the privilege of being a part of the Fenland Falls community for almost 50 years, and I actually live on Francis Street. This afternoon, I will be addressing the concerns of the pending sale of the recreational property on Juniper Street. I will be referring to my notes to help me keep on track and to stay within my allotted time frame. I am fully aware that there is a need for housing in all of Ontario. The Honorary Stephen Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, stated that government should focus on the development in areas with existing services, transit, and infrastructure. There is no transit here, and I do not see where the existing infrastructure, specifically for water and sewage in Fenland Falls, would meet this requirement. A study was done and presented by Urban Environment Management, who was hired by the City of Kawartha Lakes in 2012. The object of the study was for a growth management strategy. Based on their findings of sewage, since the report has been completed with recommendations, please explain what additional capacity you have added to the sewage treatment plant. If there has not been any expansion, then there has not been any capacity added to the existing sewage treatment plant. What little capacity remaining can be claimed and used through the additional 116 units set to be built on Murray and West Streets, along with your most recent approval of additional rental units and additional homes along existing sanitary routes yet to be connected. And now you want to add another 90 units. All of this taking place on the south side of the bridge. On January the 11th of 2020, 6.2 million liters of sewage spilled into Sturgeon Lake. This was due to a heavy rainfall. The cost of separating storm sewers and sanitary sewers is exorbitant, but necessary prior to new builds. This is a prime example of how insufficient the existing systems are. In the City of Kawartha Lake's budget from June, the active projects are for water and waste repairs and replacement. No funds or scheduling for upgrades and expansion. In an article from Lindsay Advocate written on October the 10th, Sandra Barrett is quoted as saying, "There has been no rental housing built in Fenelon Falls for over 20 years." Interestingly enough, on the Fenelon Falls waste map included in the 2012 GMS report, there were 6 proposals with the possibility of 212 housing units on the south side of the bridge. Yet only one proposal for 25 units on 70 Mary Street from Fenelon Area Independent Living Association has come to fruition. Why is that? What drove them away? Was it the developer's lack of funding? Or is it due to a second report that was done by Genevar on the Fenelon Falls Water and Waste Systems report, of which on May 28, 2013, the following is the recommendation from Brian Robinson, Manager of Capital Project Environment Services Public Works, stating that staff advise the owners of undeveloped land properties in the village of Fenelon Falls that the development of their property is temporarily suspended until after the Public Works Department, Water and Wastewater Division confirms sufficient sanitary surface capacity is available for the permitted development, and that work required to address the capacity constraint in Fenelon Falls is to come forward in future water and wastewater capital budgets. So what changes have been made to the facilities, after all this upcoming proposed development? Mayor Leatham and Councillor Dunn, I appreciate your inquiry regarding the proposal from FCHI that will be coming forward. We thank you for your comments in the council meeting of September 1st, wondering how to guarantee that what is built is what is being asked for. The answer from your staff was to include that requirement as a condition of sale. We suspect that such a condition would receive the same treatment as the condition council agreed to when the seller, Roy Gaynor, in 1990 inserted a condition that those lands be dedicated as public park land in perpetuity.
I'll just ask you to wrap it up, Dave, if you can. Your time's just up there.
The discarding of that condition is what has brought us to this point. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I'll get a motion to receive, and we'll see if there's any questions for you. Councillor O'Reilly and Vale, any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your concerns with us. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Item 6.2 on the agenda is the same item, proposed sale of city-owned lands on Juniper Street, Fenelon Falls. Joanne Kerr, are you with us, Joanne? There you are. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'll just remind you again, you have 5 minutes, so go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. I've been involved politically for many years. I have watched green space sold and developed for roads, hydro corridors, and housing, all for the good of the public purse. What I have never witnessed were any dedicated recreational lands owned by a city sold to any developer for any reason to pave over. This is not about the residents of Juniper Street, the village, or the city of Kawartha Lakes. This is about safeguarding our green space. Quoting from the Kawartha Lakes Environment Plan's vision, the plan states, enhance natural assets and ecosystems. This we can do by keeping this space green. By following the plan, we help to build resiliency in the surrounding neighborhood, from flooding impacts to existing structures, safeguarding native species, groundwater recharge, damage to tree canopy, and runoff that impacts the river. Councillors, the land in question is a dedicated swath of green space in the midst of surrounding lands already zoned for housing. Are you aware of that? And today, you have the golden opportunity to preserve our parkland for generations to come. I wonder aloud, what will this corner look like after a build of 90 units and the abutting landowners coming for their residential permits? What started out 10 weeks ago as a small group of residents has morphed into a much larger group of residents from across all of Fenelon Falls. We have done so without the support of Ward 3 Councillor Doug Emsley, without a media willing to present all the facts, without any reasonable forum for a public meeting, because the city no longer seeks public comment when rezoning its lands as surplus, without open and transparent information from City Hall. In response to the city's distorted notice in the newspaper, residents organized. Peoples from across the village are canvassing door to door. People from across the village are making phone calls. People are donating monies for expenses incurred and for those expenses yet to come. Residents from outside of Ward 3 are reaching out to help. Residents, young and old alike, permanent and seasonal, peoples that rent, and in one case, a young mom who needs housing by December, are signing a petition that continues to grow, saying no to paving over lands that are a dedicated park. If your intention to cut costs was true, we ask, when was the last time the city spent 10 cents on this green space? While canvassing the village, we came across a person who called the city regarding the for sale ad in the paper. Just 3 months ago, that person had an offer of $1.2 million. That person was told by city staff the land was not for sale and it could not be built on, even though there was an ad in the newspaper offering it for sale. Are you aware of that offer? I am not free to disclose the name publicly, but am willing to discuss off camera. If the city wanted the highest and best value for this land, why are you selling it for just $145,000? Rumors and innuendos continue to grow throughout the village regarding everything from Second Bridge Crossing to the Murray Street housing project being stopped due to possible contaminated lands. Councillor Seymour Fagan wondered aloud, who gave Tim Hortons and Sobeys permission to build so close to the bridge? To her, I would suggest permission would have been given by the council of the day. That is the legacy that they left. You are the council of today. You have the fate of a park, a dedicated park, which was a condition of purchase by the municipality, up for decision. I ask each of you, would you like to leave the paving over a dedicated parklands as your legacy? Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. I'll just get a motion to receive. We'll see if there's any questions for you. Councillor Yeo and Dunn, any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, all in favor? That's passed. Thank you. We'll go down to our next deputation, item 6.3, which is again the proposed sale of city-owned lands on Juniper Street. Lois Hatch. Are you there, Lois? Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we can hear you just fine, so just a friendly reminder, you have 5 minutes, so go ahead.
Hello? Perfect. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine, yes.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Lois Hatch. I live on Clifton Street and have lived in Fenelon Falls for over 25 years.
Hello there.
Hello? I'm a retired teacher with Trillium Lakelands District School Board. I've been a real estate agent and a small business owner in this community. I belong to Probus and attend church in Fenelon. I have been following development in Fenelon Falls, especially on Murray Street, West Street, and now Juniper Street. I am
Lois, we can't hear you anymore. Is your mute on by accident? We've lost the sound.
Is it there now?
Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead. We just lost you for a few
All
seconds
right.
there.
No problem. I am concerned with how quickly some of these proposed developments seem to have arisen, especially the projects slated for land adjacent to Juniper Street. There are presently serious traffic issues facing the businesses and the residences on the south side of the bridge. I am also aware of some of the solutions from 2 different consulting firms to create a bypass through Concession 3 Somerville, and the concerns of Kathleen Seymour Fagan with regards to the area being a flood zone. My understanding is that 20 to 30% of traffic could be rerouted there. While that might help relieve some of the traffic problems in Fenelon Falls, that improvement would be negated by approximately the same amount of traffic with the new proposed builds and changes to the traffic flow on Elliott Street, which then ties into Murray and Juniper Streets. My worry is that the result will be a new bottleneck at the back of Sobeys, as well as an increase in traffic along Helen Street from the West Street development of condos and townhouses. I realize that the property on Juniper Street in question is not all zoned recreational green space. That remainder, which is vacant land now, can be developed with its current zoning. The town appears to be pushing through a bylaw permitting the sale of what is now the 2-acre parcel designated as recreational green space to allow zoning to be changed for development. Therefore, this 2-acre parkland area could be permanently eliminated. The original property owner wanted this parkland to be an area for study and recreation for the school. It seems that council has a buyer for this property and has not allowed other parties the opportunity to put in an offer on the land. I am fearful that the amount of development proposed in the area south of the bridge, which includes the 90 additional apartment units on Juniper Street and the 30 units on Murray Street, will greatly increase stress on our roads, the bridge, schools, medical services, grocery store, and infrastructures. It will also challenge our water treatment system and sewer capacity. As it is, many services are not presently sufficient to fulfill the needs of the current population. We must be mindful of the proposed rapid growth of our small village and realize that residents have chosen to live here because we are a small, quaint, proud tourist town and not a city. Growth of population must also allow for the growth of business, access to transportation for work, and all aspects of healthcare. This is imperative for our younger and older residents. I'm not against growth, and yes, something needs to be done to alleviate our traffic problems. However, it must be done thoughtfully with strong building blocks. A church will collapse if the steeple is built first. Show the people of Fenelon Falls your plan for a firm foundation. Put necessary infrastructure in place first, along with the necessary human services, and proceed with caution. Don't make a difficult situation worse by increasing the population considerably without further investigation into all aspects that need to be taken into consideration. Be transparent too. If you feel your building plans are sound and still appropriate considering our traffic problems, let the townspeople be made aware and notified of your intentions according to town bylaws, so they can see what is being proposed, evaluate, and respond accordingly as they see fit. Let's get our bypass and traffic issues solved first before adding to the current chaos. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Lois. Appreciate that. We'll get a motion to receive, and we'll see if there's any questions. Councillor Elmsley and Richardson, any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, all in favor? That's passed. Thank you for sharing your concerns with us. Appreciate it. We'll move down to item 6.4, which is a proposed sale of city-owned lands on Juniper Street. Another deputation by Amanda Allen. Are you there, Amanda? She is in the same spot. They're in the same building.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Amanda? Amanda, can you hear me? Oh, is that Amanda? Can you hear me?
Hello?
We got to work on that broadband connection.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Amanda. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. We can't see you, but we can hear you, so go ahead. You got 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Joel, can she hear you better
Hello?
than me? No?
Can you hear me?
Just keep going.
We can hear you. Can you hear me?
Just say, I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
Can they hear me?
We can hear you, but
Okay.
you can't hear us.
Sorry about that. We were having technical issues. I just wanted to thank you for your time today. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Amanda Allen, and I reside in the village in Fenland Falls on Murray Street. I am a mother of 2 young children, and my family has lived here now for 4 generations. Living in this town for many years, I have observed the increasing traffic and challenges day to day, even on my own street. We are dealing with tractor trailers, dump trucks, buses, the car traffic that pass by residential areas consistently. This raises concerns over my children doing a simple act like playing outside or taking a walk along the poorly constructed sidewalks that are not suitable for any age. Similar to many of our current road conditions, due to lack of parking near the Langton School, I am almost forced to walk my child to school and find weaving through traffic and poor existing infrastructure, and there's no school crossing guards on my route, making for potentially unsafe environment for us. We walk on the roads, for most of my roads specifically, as the sidewalks are not stroller worthy. I have learned that there is a 30-unit housing development to be constructed on Murray Street, not far from my home. This will only add to the traffic and safety concerns. I also believe there are plans to reroute traffic along Elise Street into the back of Sobeys, which again will create more traffic challenges. How will young children trying to walk to school deal with so much traffic in such a dysfunctional corridor? In the meantime, I have been taking Juniper Street Nature Trail as an alternative route for me and my children so that we can stay safe, and also giving our family a little more freedom and less stress for myself. While doing this, these walks have become a teaching and learning environment for my kids, especially my school child, and we observe wildlife and nature. It has been a wonderful experience, actually, to see turtles and birds, snakes, and other animals, including deer and foxes, that have taken refuge in what we like to call a sanctuary. We enjoy walking the path as the sidewalk actually ends halfway to our school route, so it is somewhere for us to take our time and my child can run freely and play for a little bit without any concerns, as this is currently the only open space for him to do so outside of our home. We are only in our first year of school this year, and also with having a newborn at home, I have many years of walking to and from school and eventually would like to see them walk to school safely on their own. We do know that there are plans for a 60-unit development over on West Street, plus the 30-unit apartment on Murray Street, and I have now learned that of this proposal for 90 more units to be built that will devastate the very nature trail that we take twice a day. I want to express even more to you today that once this green space is gone, it is gone forever. It is the only space on the south side of the bridge. I am supportive of development and growth. However, I find it hard to believe that selling off this surplus land is your only option. I myself know that there are other residentially zoned properties for sale within the village. We desperately need resolutions to current traffic, sidewalk, and congestion, especially on Murray Street, Elliott Street, Elise Street, and we need to keep some green for our community. It is now estimated that our population will already increase as a result of seasonal residents over the next few months as more and more people adapt to working from home. The seams of this village are stretching and the current thread is not sufficient or strong enough to keep it together. This is not a high density residential community that is able to sustain such an impact of growth and change. Pushing development down the pipe, especially in an area that is not near ready or prepared, is going to have recovery challenges that we will have to deal with for many years to come. If you take anything from our time today, please consider the need for this unique parkland to stay as it is designated today, an open space for our community, a place of discovery and enjoyment for all ages. I will also continue to encourage residents to sign the petition against the sale of this city-owned surplus land on Juniper Street, and I ask council to please consider rescinding your proposal to sell the surplus land on Juniper Street. There must be other options. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. We'll get a motion to receive, see if there's any questions. Councillor Seymour Fagan, seconded by Councillor Dunn. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, all in favor? That's passed. Thank you for joining and sharing your concerns with us, Amanda. Our last deputation regarding the sale of city-owned lands on Juniper Street is from Sharon Larman. Sharon has done a deputation before. There you are. So you have 2.5 minutes, Sharon. You can hear me okay? Go ahead.
Yes, I can. Can you folks hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Mayor and council members, for permitting me to speak again regarding the intended usage of the adjacent land to Juniper Street. On September the 1st at the Committee of the Whole meeting, Mayor, you asked a valid question about how the city can guarantee that land is developed based on what is proposed to the city. In the past, developers have changed their plans once the lands have been awarded to them. The legal clerk's response to you was, it can be part of the condition. So let's go to the date of May the 7th, 1990, where a legal transaction occurred between the city and Roy Gaynor Developments. Mr. Gaynor sold this parcel of land to the city. The city signed the agreement of purchase because they wanted the land. The city signed the agreement of purchase with the legal written caveat of condition that the land was to be a park. So what happened to this written condition of sale? What was your guarantee to Roy Gaynor's development? It was in the written bill of sale. So what now? Have you had your legal team investigate the legality of changing the land from a green space to residential zoning? The idea of selling this land to anyone for development, I would call this a breach of fiduciary duty, which means in this case that the city is acting in the best interest of themselves. So I ask you, where is your moral obligation to comply and maintain the agreement already signed between the city and Roy Gaynor Development? If you continue to pursue the ideal of selling the land, you are blatantly sending a clear and loud message to the communities you represent. Yes, we will welcome the opportunities of you gifting or donating your land to us. We will welcome you engaging in a financial transaction of land with us. But be aware, although we say verbally or in writing, we will comply with your request. Once signed on the dotted line, we can and we will change the agreement at any time. So I ask you all, where's the trust? Mr. Gaynor trusted you to honor and maintain the arrangement he made with you. Clearly, for him to have this condition of selling the land that you wanted from him, he wanted a specific legacy to the community. Clearly, you signing the condition of sale implies you would honor and maintain the agreement of trust. I respectfully request that you cease the idea of selling this piece of land for development, and I respectfully request your transactional agreement of May 1990 be maintained. So I ask each of you councillors today a really important question. What will be your legacy on this situation? Will it be integrity or will it be indirection? Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that. I get a motion to receive. We'll see if there's any questions for you. Councillor Ashmore? To receive? Second by Councillor Richardson. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, all in favor? Is passed. Thank you for sharing your concerns with us. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll move down to item 7, which is correspondence. First correspondence we have is from Steve Podolsky, the Vice Chair, Lindsay Downtown BIA, regarding snow removal in downtown Lindsay. So I'll ask for a motion to receive the correspondence, and then I have a follow-up recommendation if you're okay with that. Councillor Dunn to receive, second by Councillor O'Reilly. All in favor? That's passed. I've been working with staff to put a bit of a proposal together. I know, Councillor Dunn, you wanted to speak to this, but as a follow-up, can I suggest that this motion, that a pilot project be put in place for the 2020-2021 winter season, waiving the current policy and bylaw for 1 year, that the Lindsay downtown receive the same level of sidewalk service as other downtowns in the city, that the level of service be adjusted so that snowbank removal in all downtown areas be triggered at 0.5 meters high instead of 0.9 meters high, and that staff be directed to apply a heightened level of service in back municipal parking lots during these winter months, and that staff report back on service level adjustments by Q2 2021. If you'll move that, Councillor Dunn, seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. I read I'll just speak to it if I can briefly. I read the memo. The BIA is asking for a little bit more than this, but I think this is a good start. We can expand the level of service to give them the same sidewalk service with the sidewalk machine as the other downtowns get. And I think we have talked about heightening our winter control in our downtown cores this winter based on the fact that we think a lot of more people are going to be spending the winter here. So lowering the snowbanks, there's going to be, depending on the winter, heightening the level of service in the back municipal parking lots. There will be a cost to that, but suggest that we do it for a year, and then we'll get a report back on what the costs were, what the levels were, if we need to adjust them, and then council can decide whether they want to continue or go back to the way it was. So that's what I'm proposing. You want to go ahead, Councillor Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a good start. It's far better than, certainly far better than what we had. Our other concern with the bump outs, now that the city's going to take responsibility for the sidewalks, it resolves the bump out question, and it gives everybody an opportunity to assess the effectiveness of it. It sounds like a good plan. I think certainly on a year basis, as a pilot program, I think the BIA should be very happy with it, and I support this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll call the question then. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you for that. Correspondence 7.2 and 7.3. 7.2 is correspondence regarding the proposed sale of lands on Juniper Street by Doug Dickerson, and 7.3 is correspondence regarding the sale by Rick Karche. I'll get a motion to receive 7.2 and 7.3, please. Councillor Elmsley, seconded by Councillor Vale. All in favor? That's passed. Petitions. Item 9 on the agenda is a petition for a pedestrian crosswalk on Lindsay Street, Highway 121 in Fenland Falls, from Jane Barthorpe. Can I suggest, Councillor Elmsley, we receive the petition, refer to staff, as part of the planned improvements to Lindsay Street moving forward. You'll move that? Thank you. Second by Councillor Vale. Do you want to speak to it, or? Okay, I've got the motion. All in favor? That's passed. Committee of the Whole, item 10. I have no extractions from the Committee of the Whole minutes at this point. Are there any extractions? Okay, can I get a motion that the minutes of the November 3rd, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting be received and the recommendations included in section 10.3 of the agenda be adopted? Councillor O'Reilly and Vale. Questions? All in favor? That's passed. See, I'm going so fast here, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. 10, so Planning Advisory Committee. I think you've got clarification on the liquidation sale, so you're fine, Councillor Dunn?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm fine. I'd like to make a comment just so that it becomes public notice for anybody watching the meeting, that the actions that the city has taken, I think the ones that care about this will be glad to see that it's been resolved. So I think if I could just make a comment on that, that would be fine. Large box sales has been a thorn in the side of businesses in the city of Kawartha Lakes for years. We did a task force back in 2018, as the report refers to. We've made recommendations. Small businesses will quite often, when a large box auction sale comes into town, it'll take them 3 months before their sales get back up to their norm. And that's not just in Lindsay, it's in Fenelon Falls, and it's in Bobcaygeon as well, because I've talked to businesses in both those places. I think this is a fair resolution to that. It still allows them to come in, but it does control the number and the locality. And I thank the Planning Advisory Committee for taking action on this.
Thank you, sir. So the extraction I have from planning is 1134, the additional residential units. Staff have asked that this be extracted and referred back to the next PAC committee for some more information. So I'll extract 1134, not for any changes, just to refer. Are there any other extractions on the Planning Advisory Committee minutes? Seeing none, then Councillor O'Reilly, will you, that the minutes of the November 4th, 2020 Planning Advisory Committee be received and the recommendations included in section 11.3, save and accept 1134 of the agenda be adopted? You'll move that, thank you. Second by Councillor Vale. Are there any questions? All in favor? That's passed. 1134, I'll just ask for a motion that the report plan 2020-044 additional residential units be received and referred back to staff to come forward at the next PAC meeting. Councillor Seymour Fagan, thank you. Councillor Vale, questions? All in favor? That's passed. Okay, one sec here. We'll go to the consent agenda. Consent matters, extractions. I have 1211, which is electronic petitions. Petition options has been extracted by Councillor Ashmore. I have 1212, the 2021 meeting schedule has been extracted by Councillor Dunn. And I have 1213, the consolidated fees update has been extracted by Councillor Ashmore. Are there any other extractions from the consent agenda? Seeing none, Councillor O'Reilly, I believe you have the consent agenda.
Moved by my seconded by Councillor Ashmore, that all the proposed resolutions shown in section 12.1 of the agenda, is there any save and accept, or just all be approved? 1211? Yeah.
Save and accept 1211, 1212, and 1213.
Okay. Save and accept 1211, 1212, and 1213. Be approved. and adopted by council in the order that they appear on the agenda, sequentially numbered, save and accept the following items I mentioned.
Thank you. Call the
Councillor-
question, all in favor?
Councillor Ashmore seconded.
That's passed, seconded by Councillor Ashmore, thank you. 1211 as our first extraction, electronic petition options. Councillor Ashmore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question through you to the clerk. Did we, did we ask or explore the federal government's option and how they did it, how they put together petitions online? Because they were, federal government in 2015, they started this. I think the Ontario government has it as well. But did we look at them as a reference to see whether this would work here?
Madam Clerk?
So Joel Watts, our deputy clerk, did most of the research on this pilot for the electronic petitions. He did look at all the options that were available to us, whether it was the tools that the federal, provincial government use, other municipalities use, and what's available to us. We looked at cost, and we looked at whether the tool was something that was going to be user-friendly for our citizens. So the jump-in tool was recommended by staff in conjunction with communications, and that it was a familiar interface, and it was going to be no cost to the municipality, and it was something that it would help with the residents to get them to use and be more familiar with Jump-In. So the more that we use Jump-In for online petitions and other interfaces with the public, the more they're actually going to use it. So we felt that it was going to be benefit to our residents rather than going with a federal option.
And just further, please, we have a web creator, is it called eSolutions, that put together our website? Could they not be, I assume we paid them good money to put our website together, could they not put something together or adjust our website instead of us going through the jump-in route?
Correct, and through you, Mayor, yes, we did, and there's a cost associated with the eSolutions tool.
There's a couple of options, option 2 and 3, that one is eSolutions and one is third-party online petitions. Both have a cost. That's why the recommendation is with the first option.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. I'll go with the first option. I kind of would like to have option 2, but I don't think that's going to fly here today, so option 1. But what I would like, and I'm just wondering if it's possible.
Let's just get a motion. Do you want to, will you move it as printed?
Move it as printed, yeah.
So the original motion as printed, that electronic petition options be received, that an amendment to the city's procedural bylaw be presented at the December 15th, 2020 regular council meeting for approval, providing for electronic petitions using the city's existing public engagement tool, Jump-In website, option number 1, and that implementation of the electronic petitions would be scheduled in Q1 of 2021. So you'll move that, Councillor Ashmore. Anybody want a second? Councillor Richardson. Go ahead, Councillor Ashmore.
Okay, thank you. What I was wondering is that sometimes when people go on to the Jump-In, it takes quite a few steps to get into it. It's kind of cumbersome. It's kind of overwhelming, I guess you could say, and maybe not as user-friendly. Is there any way we could have this petition, like right now you go onto the website and you look up the petition, you search petition, and you go right there. It gives you a nice step-by-step direction. Could we have this petition process right in that portal right there instead of having to go into Jump-In Kawartha Lakes? Would that be possible? If we could, that'd be great.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we'll make it as easy as possible with the least amount of clicks.
That's great. I appreciate that. I think this will work out really great for people. So I appreciate work that we're going to do here, and we're going to get this done. So I think it's a great thing for people to start their petitions, and they can do it much more quickly. And as long as they can get online to our website and start on it, that's great. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it forward. It's a good idea. Councillor Richardson, do you want to speak to it? You seconded it?
I'm just going to echo exactly what Councillor Ashmore said, that it's something that we need to do moving forward, especially during the pandemic time. So I'm glad to see this on the board. Thanks.
Okay, and I'll just ask for clarification, Madam Clerk, that we're amending the procedural bylaw, but we're still allowing paper petitions, correct? That people that don't want to use the online, this is just an additional option for them to use if they want to.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. 12.1.2 is extracted by Councillor Dunn. The Committee of the Whole and Planning Advisory Committee meeting Council, Committee of the Whole and Planning Advisory Committee meeting schedule. Councillor Dunn.
Wrong button. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give you a motion for the purpose of opening the discussion, and then I can explain my rationale as we go through if I get a seconder.
We'll do a motion as printed or to receive?
I might as well just jump in and change everything, and then we can say yes or no, and then we can come back and somebody can make an alternative motion if in fact they don't agree with my rationale.
So why don't we do a motion to receive?
Okay.
And then you can do your rationale and do a follow-up.
Sure, that's fine.
Motion to receive, seconded by Councillor Yeo. All in favor? That's passed. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I will, I'll have to read this in the record. I prepared a written copy for the clerk if in fact it passes. So I will make a motion that the Appendix A be adopted as modified, and I'll run through it. This will take about 5 minutes, but they're not major changes. My first recommendation is that regular council meetings work better. We can make motions at regular council meetings. We can take action. It also allows councillors a greater opportunity to bring their issues forward. So, as a general rule of thumb for the 2021 season, I'm recommending that Committee of the Whole meetings become council meetings. We still attend the same number of meetings. There is more structure, and we have more flexibility. We can deal with the issues of our constituents, and we have a greater interaction with our staff because we're making motions and requesting reports and feedback. So in January, it starts off pretty good. The planning meeting has been changed. It's normally the first Wednesday. And as a general rule of thumb, that gives council an opportunity the following week to respond to anything that comes from council. I'm not prepared, unless somebody else is, I'm not prepared that we change the date from the 13th of January to the 6th. That's the start of the new year, so for whatever reason, it's out of sync, and I recognize that. So I would recommend that the 12th become a regular council meeting, and I'm going to move right down to the 26th. We've moved our meeting to Thursday there because of the Roma conference. Well, in today's environment, is the Roma conference going to happen, and does it in fact have an impact on that particular Tuesday? And I would ask that question of the clerk before I recommend moving it.
I can probably advise on that. It'll be a virtual conference, so whether people to attend, it is still going ahead. The CAO and I will be attending as members of EOWC, so where those delegations take place, that's usually why we block off that week, just so that we're not caught up in two meetings at the same time.
And I recognize that, so I will not recommend that we change it from the 28th to the 26th. Moving into February, with the exception of the Committee of the Whole meeting being a regular council meeting, I'm good with. I'm good, and our planning meetings are out of sync, and they do eventually get. We normally have council meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays. Generally speaking, planning's the week before, and I don't know why we're doing that, because we can deal with planning a lot quicker if in fact we move the planning meetings back to the first Wednesday of every month. But
I'll just mention, if I can, Councillor, keep in mind that when we do a planning meeting on the Wednesday, before a council meeting the week after, the agenda goes out on the Wednesday. We can't have the minutes of the planning ready to be approved at council on the day the agenda goes out.
So you don't find that an issue? So
I
then,
don't find that an issue. So you're going to
Oh.
get it approved. That's why it's being approved at the second council meeting each month.
okay. So once again, then the only change I'm recommending for February is that the 9th become a regular council meeting. Same rationale for March. In April, we jump out of sync here. We're now having our council meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. We should maintain consistency both for ourselves and for the public. So I would recommend that in April, the regular council meeting be on the 13th and the 27th as opposed to the 6th and the 20th. It's the second and fourth Monday of every month. And that's why I recommend that particular change. And then in May, it would be the same thing. We're out of sync. We've gone from the second and fourth to the first and third, so they should all be bumped down 1 week. In June, once again, and I keep on saying it's the same thing. So the June 1st meeting should be on the June 8th, and the June 15th meeting should be on the 22nd. July, the only addition I would make there is the 28th of July, block it off as an if-needed meeting. If in fact the agenda is so heavy on the 27th, we're allowing ourselves the option on the 28th to have an additional meeting if needed. And I would make the same recommendation for the month of August. We only have one meeting. It could be hectic. It could be, we could sail through it, don't know. September, once again, get back in sync, do the 14th and the 28th. October, same thing, do the 12th and the 26th. November, once again, the same thing, the 9th and the 23rd, so it's the second and fourth. And December, we got one booked, and December's a wild month because we're into budgets anyway, so we're going to be busy in December. So those are the changes that I recommend to the schedule. When we do most of our work as councillors.
Let me see if I get you a seconder. and
Sure,
then you-
okay, all right.
or did I get you, no, let's get you a seconder. So that's the Schedule A as amended.
Yep.
With those amendments, moved by Councillor Dunn. Anybody want to second that motion? Councillor Seymour Fagan, go ahead.
Okay, we do most of our business as councillors, we do most of our business by memo. If we have an issue that we want brought forward, we do it by memo, and then it generates it generates a report from staff, and we can address it quicker. And I'm going to give a very quick example. At the October meeting, council passed a motion that we strike a task force. Now, that was against the staff's recommendation. They wanted to have a long, drawn-out process that would take probably a year or so to get through with the Trails Advisory Committee and so on and so forth. That was on October the 20th. We're now the 17th of November. There's no terms of reference on this agenda. So we've lost another month. And it was pointed out that this is a pretty ambitious schedule. Well, we won't get our terms of reference now until the next council meeting where we can make a decision. And that's what happens. Whereas if we have regular council meetings, terms of reference is probably the simplest thing we can do. It's a template and we plug things into it. But terms of reference for all our committees are exactly the same, except we put things in. It should be a 15 or 20-minute operation. But we don't get a chance now until December to address that. Committee of the whole meetings, we don't make decisions. And why do we go over the same thing twice? So last meeting, we met and we made decisions on the same thing again today. So regular council meetings are in my opinion, we react quicker. We have two options every month to bring issues before council, as in opposed to one. I think it's for the benefit of council, and it's certainly for the benefit of the people that we serve, that we have regular council meetings twice a month. And if we need, if we need something for a special presentation, then call it for that purpose. If something's so long, like the bridge thing or something like that, where you want to have a long drawn-out discussion, then call a special meeting for that. I think the schedule right now should be adjusted for the coming year, and I think we can do a better job if we adjust it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Seymour Fagan, you seconded it. Do you want to speak to it?
Yes, so it seems that we won't be adding any meetings. We're just changing from committee of the whole to special council because Councillor Dunn feels that it'll expedite things. So I think I'm in favor of this. Just it's taking a long time to get things through now, and it didn't take this long before. So that's just my opinion. I don't know what anyone else's is.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Elmsley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We used to have, as part of the council meeting, a segment of the council meeting that was committee of the whole, but nothing ever happened in it. We just kind of skipped over it. Is it possible, if we're having 2 council meetings in a month, I don't envision that we're going to be swamped with things. Could a portion of one of the council meetings, could we start out as committee of the whole and move into a council meeting?
May I ask what would be the purpose of that?
I don't know. I mean, I puzzle the difference between committee of the whole and council, other than that we don't make motions at committee of the whole. So I'm not opposed to this happening because I think we can cover the same ground and we can cover the same material. But if there's a desire for committee of the whole for some particular reason, the question is, could you have a portion or the beginning of the council meeting as committee of the whole and then move into a council meeting?
Sure. Any other? So go ahead, Councillor Riley.
No, I've kind of worked under both systems over the years and whatever, and I can appreciate where Councillor Dunn's coming. We're not increasing any meetings, but I like the committee of the whole just because I think it's a good way to get all our deputations. It's a good way to have a more of a fulsome debate on many of the decisions we're making. And so I just think that for personally, I like the system the way we have it, so as it is now. But that's my own personal opinion.
Thank you. I'm going to speak against it as well. I know exactly what you're saying, but I think it's a better system that we have now for a lot of the same reasons that you've mentioned. We are able to get deputations, things that our residents don't have items on the agenda. They can't come to a regular council meeting, so we have a committee of the whole. They used to come once a quarter. Sometimes they had to wait 6 months. So now they're able to come monthly because we have a committee of the whole and we have more flexibility. So we're reacting to our residents better to some of their concerns. I think committee of the whole, in my opinion, gives us an opportunity to see presentations, ask questions, bring a memo forward. Maybe the memo's not perfect. We need some more information. We can fine tune it. We can get more information before it comes to council. It gives us 2 weeks to maybe hear from residents on something that's a new issue. And for all those reasons, I think it works. We talked about 2 years ago, if we ever needed to have a council meeting, opposite of what you're saying, a special council meeting, along with a committee of the whole meeting because we had time-sensitive issues or something needed to come forward quicker and couldn't wait for that full monthly cycle, we certainly have the opportunity to do that. We've never had a time-sensitive issue that we've had to make that adjustment at a meeting. So it's not putting a committee of the whole with a council meeting, but putting a council meeting with a committee of the whole meeting. We certainly have the option to do that. We have the flexibility to call a special meeting if there's something on the horizon we need to talk about. That can come from recommendation from staff. It can come from council if we feel. It can come from myself. You know, there's lots of flexibility built into the system. I think we've got some momentum going with our deputations, with our presentations, the way it's set up. At the end of the day, if you want to have 2 council meetings, and we're going to have special council meetings every quarter to get our deputants in on issues that aren't on the agenda, so keep that in mind, because they unless it's on a council agenda, they can't be a deputant. So for a lot of the reasons, I think the system we have is working. I would certainly prefer to stay with it, but you know what? I appreciate you bringing it up. I think it's a good discussion, and it's up to you guys. So that's where I come from. Any other comments? I'll get Councillor Dunn to sum up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just speaking very briefly about the deputations. There's nothing that I'm aware of that we have rules on deputations. You know, one being that it has to be within the purview of our power. So I can't make a deputation on the federal government's firearms control because it's nothing that we have a control over. But my understanding, you know, and it has to be appropriate. But my understanding is there's nothing written that says if I want to talk about, rather than presenting a petition, if I want to talk about putting a crosswalk at the corner of Lindsay Street, there's nothing that I'm aware of that prevents me from coming to any council meeting and making a deputation about crosswalks. It's not something that already has to be on the agenda in order for me to make a deputation to speak on it. So the deputation question is mute. Anybody, I'm sorry.
Well, let's just get clarification on that, because I believe you're saying things that aren't true right now. So go ahead.
So before the, through the mayor, before the committee of the whole was reintroduced, of course, all deputations came to council because they didn't have any other forum to speak to council. When council agreed to go back to the committee of the whole, the procedural bylaw was changed to direct all deputations to committee of the whole, and that only if they were speaking on a matter that was already on a council agenda, that they would not be, they'd be directed back to the committee of the whole.
So in fact, what we've done, Mr. Mayor, is we've changed our rules for our convenience. So rather than having to listen to people come and talk to us on a regular basis, we say, no, you can come every 4 months or every 3 months or every 2 or 3 months when it's convenient for us, and then we'll listen to your story, and then we'll conveniently just keep on moving the way we want to move. People should be allowed to come to council, and if they've got an issue today, they shouldn't have to wait 6 or 8 weeks in order to come and speak to it at council. And we changed the rule, so we can certainly change the rule back. People should be allowed to come to council and speak on an issue when it's important to them. You know, be it a boat launch. You know, spring's coming, hopefully, and all of a sudden I may want to talk about boat launches because there hasn't been one at my lake for years, and I shouldn't have to wait as a member of the public. I shouldn't be forced to wait. So changing our procedural bylaw is just as simple as we changed it the last time. But right now everything is being directed towards making it more convenient for staff and for councillors to do their business than it is for the people that actually pay the freight. And I think that's wrong. So I'll go back to that. If we need to change the procedural bylaw, then I would be more than happy to change that as well.
Okay, so just for clarification, I know that was your sum up, but just for clarification, we didn't put people off. We changed it to a committee of the whole so people could come to a deputation more often. Previous to that, unless their item was on a council agenda, they had to come to a special council meeting that we had in place once a quarter. So we made it more convenient under this system for people to come. The procedural bylaw could be changed. You can allow people to come and speak to any issue they want at any council meeting. Just keep in mind that sometimes we have deputations about items on a council agenda. And if we have 5 people coming from Juniper Street, there's nobody's going to be allowed to speak to items on the council agenda. And that's important too, because when we're making decisions, we want to hear from the public. So I just put that out there as information that, you know, unless you want to waive how many deputations come and you want to sit here and go through 15 or 20 deputations at a council meeting, you know, just keep in mind what you're proposing in that regard. So it's very important when we have an item on the agenda, and if the public wants to come give us their opinion on that, that there be room in our deputations for them to come to be able to do that. So going to the committee of the whole, that's why we separated the two at the time and had those once a quarter special meetings to allow people to come and talk.
And I'm not arguing that. But if a person has a different issue than what's liable to appear on our agenda, he may have to wait 2 weeks. You know, you come to some of the committee of the whole meetings and you have your 10 deputations. And quite frankly, in my opinion, by the time you get to your 5th deputation, we're just trying to get through them. There's never any questions asked by the councillors, so either we already know everything they're talking about, or we just want to get it over because we've got 4 more deputations to go through. And that's not fair to the public either. So I think we have a better, you know, if somebody wants to come and talk about boat launches, I can quickly put my hand up and say, and I move that it be referred to staff to come back, and it's done. So I think council meetings are the appropriate place for the public to come and speak to us. It's their one shot at us, and I think I think we're depriving them of that.
Thank you. I'll call the question. Everybody's clear on the motion? The new proposed schedule by Councillor Dunn with the amendments. Call the question. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Motion fails. Anybody want to move the original recommendation? Councillor Seymour Fagan, second by Councillor Yeo. Comments? All in favor? Sorry, did you want to comment? Go ahead, Councillor Dunn.
Sorry, just on the alignment of the dates. Some meetings we're meeting in the 1st and the 3rd, others we're meeting the 4th and the 2nd and the 4th. I think we should have some level of consistency on our meeting dates, either the 1st and 3rd of every month or the 2nd and 4th of every month. But we're all over the map here as to when we meet. And I think there should be some consistency. Granted, the Roma conference, I understand. That was explained, but aside for something like that, we should have consistency.
Okay.
I don't care where we go with it, but there should be consistency.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say that, you know, CAO, myself, and the clerk sit down and we come up with this sort of consistent schedule that we try to. I believe there is consistency built in. I don't know if you want to comment, but the reason we're sometimes the first week, we try to hit the 1st and 3rd. Sometimes there's a short month before, and it really just depends on if you look at it over the full 12 months, there's consistently a meeting every 2 weeks. So sometimes it is the 1st of the month and the 2nd, but other times we're the last week of the month and we don't want to go to the 1st week, so we go to the 2nd. So that's why you're seeing. But what is more consistent is allowing our staff time to get the minutes and everything prepared for the next meeting, so it's allowing that 2 week. So monthly, it doesn't show up as consistent, I agree with you, but over the course of the year, it's a regular 2 week schedule, which allows everything in here to sort of function, and that's the rationale for why we've come up with the dates that we have. Did you have anything to add, Madam Clerk?
Through you, the Mayor, just that the planning department was consulted to make sure that the planning meetings were giving staff enough time to get all the reports ready for the planning meeting and then to get approved to council.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor, and I just want to assure everyone, if you have a time-sensitive issue, if you have something that you don't think can wait, by all means, let me know. We can add a council meeting to a committee of the whole meeting under this schedule. We can add an extra meeting if there's something of importance that needs to be dealt with. We certainly, unless you talk to me or talk to the clerk, We can't adjust that schedule going forward. This is just a template for the year. So we have lots of flexibility built in there if we need it. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Item 12.13 is the consolidated fees update. Councillor Ashmore, your extraction?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to just receive it. That's all I'd like to have done today on this motion, on this report.
We need a consolidated fees bylaw for next year. Otherwise, we're not charging anybody for anything, and you're not going to like the end result of that.
Okay, but we have to charge something, but I got a few things I'd like to say.
Okay, so you want to start off with a motion to receive, and then you want to ask some questions?
Well, I had a few comments, like when I look at it.
Do you want to start off with a motion to receive?
Motion to receive,
Okay,
yeah.
so motion to receive, second by Councillor Seymour Fagan. All in favor? That's passed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel that when I look through it here, I see the words new. New charges here, $2,000 charges, site plan approval, 911 signs, even though they're small, they're being increased by 50%. We're really heaping the fees on here. I really don't think it's appropriate this time to be putting so many fees in here. To top it all off, a $250 rush fee. I don't really get it. I mean, I know what a rush fee is, but I really don't think we should be having rush fees. I mean, our staff do the job that they're outlined to do, and basically you're going to be putting us into a two-tier system, basically pay to play, I guess. You know, you pay the $250, you get better service. So I don't agree with this. So I don't know what else to do but just not receive it, because there's so many things in here that I disagree with. Sorry.
Okay, so you've made a motion to receive. Anyone want to do a follow-up or amendments? Councillor Riley? You want to do the mic, please?
I'll follow up with the original motion.
The remainder of the
Yeah,
motion as printed?
Yes.
Second by? No seconder? Councillor Yeo? Do you want to speak to it?
No, I hear Councillor Ashmore's concerns, and I think they're good to be brought to attention, but I think we realize that we have an operation, we have to do business. I think that a lot of these things, staff, I'm sure, has vetted this, as well as it's up to us to make the final decision. I appreciate this, but the cost of doing business is going up everywhere, and I think that I think that these changes are in there are going to be appropriate. But that's my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know whether to do it as a follow-up or a friendly. I was going to suggest that the rush fees be removed.
You can ask if it's a friendly, unless you want to ask
I was
what
going to
the
ask
rationale for the rush fees were.
If you don't mind, if I ask the rationale for it first, before I accept, I just want to ask the rationale why it arrived at.
Well, I do think that that creating a two-tiered system is somewhat unfair. So it's, you know, we don't allow it in things like healthcare. And maybe we should, but we don't. And I think certainly for site plan and zoning and subdivisions, that we should be working as expeditiously as possible. And I don't think that charging somebody an extra $250 to get to the front of the queue is necessarily something that we may want to do.
Would it be appropriate to ask the CAO if he would have a comment on it?
We can ask the CAO, and then you can decide whether you want to accept it as a friendly.
Yes.
Do you know, is there someone we should refer that question to, or yourself?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So as I understand, these particular fees are specific to closing a real estate transaction typically, and so it's typically generated as a request from those parties legal, and they need those assurances in advance. We have a standard turnaround time based on the resources that we have. This is actually, I believe, being requested by the industry, not staff. But it's not only to cover costs, but to provide an expedited service. As you can appreciate, there's many closings that happen on a monthly cycle. And so this is just an opportunity recognizing that there is some due diligence that's needed in very short order to close deals. Staff certainly do, respond to these, but we can get many in a month. And so meeting those timelines, this is a way to get them at least higher priority so we can meet some of those demands.
So this has nothing to do with development approvals or planning applications. This is strictly real estate closings and those compliance letters that they need. Yes?
Correct.
Thank you. Councillor Elmsley, go ahead.
Well, but it does say for site plan compliance and zoning compliance as well. So I guess I'm a little confused by that. And secondly, we have staff. We have so many staff who are presumably really, really busy. So where are they going to get the time to all of a sudden expedite these things? Or are we hiring more staff?
I don't know if the CAO, but I would assume if somebody's in a rush and they want to pay an extra $250, maybe one of our staff stays late and it helps cover the overtime to get it done. People are always asking for an opportunity for something in a rush, and I know, talking to planning, they've come up with this as a result of the public asking or the agents asking, but the request is to you that it be removed as a friendly amendment. What do you want to do?
It's not friendly at this time.
So that's a no. Further question? Councillor Ashmore?
You to the CAO. In that, it says, reason for change, new fees introduced for additional staff, effort to provide service within shortened time frame. So it doesn't say anything about real estate transactions. It just, basically what I read there, it says everything. Would that be right, Mr. CEO? Because it doesn't say explicitly real estate. It just looks like it covers everything in that box there. Reason for change.
Go ahead, Ron.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So my comment was really based on any requests for a zoning compliance letter, so confirmation of zoning on an individual property, or is the property compliant with the site plan agreement or subdivision agreement, is almost entirely requested in order to transact some sort of real estate transaction. There are other circumstances where a general zoning compliance letter may be requested for financing, let's say, and stuff like that. We wouldn't likely need to rush those ones through. So this is where the rush fee occurs, is where we get less than a week requests from lawyers, from other professionals representing closings and transactions, and they need that confirmation, and they need it officially prior to that closing.
Thank you. Okay. Any further comments, questions? Recorded vote requested by Councillor Ashmore. I'm going to support this. I think why should our, if a real estate is doing a transaction and they have a short closing and they need a rushed letter, why should our taxpayers be on the hook for that if we have to try and meet that when there's an opportunity for the industry to pay that fee? So I don't have a big issue with it, but I do understand the concern. So the motion is as printed. Do you want to sum up?
No, after hearing the explanation from our CAO, I think there's more of an upside than a downside, and I think that we always talk about being open for business, and I think this is a way to expedite some of our decisions, or that are, as Ron has said, something has to be done in a week, we can perhaps get it done in a week.
Thank you. Recorded vote requested by Councillor Ashmore. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor O'Reilly.
In favor?
Councillor Seymour Fagan.
In favor.
Councillor Yeo.
In favor.
Councillor Vale.
In favor.
Councillor Richardson.
In favor.
Councillor Ashmore.
Opposed.
Councillor Elmsley.
Opposed.
Councillor Dunn.
In favor.
Mayor Latham.
In favor. 7 in favor, 2 opposed?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Thank you. That's it for consent. We have bylaws, extraction from bylaws. We have to extract, by extracting the planning residential units, going back to the PAC committee, we have to extract 14.111. Sorry. Back to 12.2.1. Thank you for our deputy clerk for keeping me on track. We have a report that's extracted. Councillor Richardson would never forgive me if we missed this one. I apologize for that. So 12.1.1 was public consultation results for Service Road renaming at Meadowview Road and Highway 7. So this was the one that was sent back when we had the deputations. They didn't like the names that were selected, so we went back through the process. So I'll let the councillor make a motion, and then she can give you an explanation of how it all went down, and we can see where we go.
Thank you, and through you, I'm going to make a recommendation that the road south of Meadowview will be named City View Heights. The road north of Meadowview will be Feliz Court.
Okay, can you do me a favor? Can you read the actual motion out of the report and just fill in the blanks, just so that the public knows what we're referring to?
I can do that. Public consultation results for the Service Road renaming at Meadowview Road and Highway 7. The report CLK 2020-008, public consultation results for the Service Roads renaming at Meadowview Road and Highway 7 be received. That the new road, formerly Highway 7, created by the Ministry of Transportation north of Meadowview, with its realignment of Highway 7 in the former township of Emily, be renamed Feliz Court. That the new service road, formerly Highway 7, created by the Ministry of Transportation south of Meadowview Road with the alignment of Highway 7 in the former township of Emily, be renamed City View Heights. That the office of the city clerk send notice to all the affected parties regarding the renaming of the service roads in accordance with the notice bylaw, and that the subject to be significant objections raised from the affected parties in the notice period, that bylaw to rename and readdress both service roads be prepared, approved, and adopted by council at the December 15th, 2020 regular council meeting.
Thank you. That's a motion. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Vale, go ahead, Councillor. You want to speak to it?
Thank you. So we went through this process, and I want a big thanks to Deputy Clerk Watts, who helped me through this process. We did a petition. I went out on Saturday, November 7th, went door to door. Had very good representation that day. I believe I had 9 out of 12 homes received. Brought the results back in on Monday, and Deputy Clerk sent a notice back out through the email saying that I had been out and that they had a deadline of November 12th to submit any additional names. The names were pulled, and those were the 2 final results with the highest results.
Thank you. Did you want to speak to it, Councillor Vale? You second it?
Nope, I think the councillors covered everything.
Thank you. Agree. Any comments, questions? And you can tell us, Councillor, this will keep everybody happy?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you for your work on that, and thanks to the Deputy Clerk for helping you through that. So is it okay if I go on to bylaws now? All right, thanks. Councillor Ashmore, you have the bylaws. So extracted, we have 14.111 and 14.112. Are there any other extractions from the bylaws? Seeing none, go ahead.
Yep. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor O'Reilly, that the bylaws shown in section 14.1 of the agenda, namely items 14.1.12 and including 14.1.17, save and except for items 14.1.11 and 14.1.12, be read a first, second, and third time passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. The ones that are extracted, we don't need to do anything with those. Those will come forward after the PAC meeting. We have no notice of motion. We're going to go into close. So can I get adoption of the closed session agenda, please? Councillor Elmsley and Seymour Fagan. All in favor? Okay, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in closed session items? Seeing none, we're going to move into close, so let's take 5 minutes and get the cameras off, and then we'll come back and do closed session. Okay, we're back in open session. We'll call the meeting back to order. We're just coming out of close, so we'll deal with item 17, matters from closed session. Madam Clerk?
Matters from closed session, item 16.3.1, the confidential closed session minutes of the October 20th, 2020 regular council meeting were approved. Item 16.3.2, council was provided an appraisal for the city-owned property located on Juniper Street, Fenelon Falls, and legally described as lots 24, 247, 248, 249, and 256 on Plan 57, subject to R2 283173. Blake Street on Plan 100, closed by R27 4935 between Rock Street and Hill Street. Part of Hill Street on Plan 100, closed by R27 4935, designated as Part 7 on Plan 27R 6341 in the geographic village of Fenelon Falls, City of Kawartha Lakes.
Was provided? Yeah, it was just an update. There's no motion, right?
No.
Okay, so then I'm asking for a follow-up motion after that update. Do you have a follow-up motion, Councillor Elmsley, regarding Juniper Street appraisal?
After hearing the discussion about a second appraisal, it doesn't appear that there's any value in getting a second appraisal, so no.
Okay, so no follow-up. Councillor Ashmore?
I request a recorded vote, please.
On what? There was no motion. It was just an update. It was just an update, just a verbal update on what we discussed in closed. There's no motion to do a recorded vote on. Okay, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Item 16.3.3, council was provided an appraisal for the city-owned property located at Lot 4, 5, and 6 on Plan 9, Fleetwood Road in the geographic township of Manvers. And that item 16.3.4, the city solicitor provided an update to council on case PL 120217 before the local planning appeal tribunal, being the City of Kawartha Lakes official plan 2012 and secondary plans thereto, and received instruction pertaining to the same.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 18.1, which is the bylaw that was extracted regarding Juniper Street. What's the motion? Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, approved. Numbered, signed, sealed, and delivered. Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder if you want to go there. Councillor Yeo? Sorry? Moved? Seconded by Councillor Elmsley. Recorded vote requested by Councillor Ashmore. This is for the bylaw. Any comments? All in favor? Hands high? Oh, sorry, recorded vote. My bad. Recorded vote requested. Madam Clerk.
Councillor Yeo?
In favor.
Deputy Mayor O'Reilly?
In favor.
Councillor Vale?
In favor.
Councillor Dunn?
In favor.
Councillor Richardson?
In favor.
Councillor Ashmore?
Opposed?
Councillor Elmsley?
In favor.
Councillor Seymour Fagan?
Opposed.
Mayor Latham?
In favor. 7 in favor, 2 opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. Confirming bylaw, Councillor Seymour Fagan, I believe you have that.
Okay, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Yeo, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a regular council meeting held Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. And a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Yeo and Dunn, all in favor? That's passed. A reminder, our next meeting is a budget meeting, capital budget, December 1st at 9 a.m. Thank you. Have a great day. Yes. And don't forget to bring your budget books.